think for me, when I was young, I was an only child, still am. And I was just like always bored and lonely. And I noticed that some people were, as you do when you're younger, you notice that some people are popular. And then as I got older, I noticed that some people were still not just popular, but had a lot of opportunities. And those opportunities seemed to come through friends and connections in school. And then as I went to law school, I was like, oh man, a lot of the kids that are in this school, their parents like own law firms or they have family in the government. And I was like, I'm never going to have those connections. Therefore, my life will probably always be limited. And then I was like, how do you get connections? Do you go to a fancy boarding school because your parents have money and then that's the only way? I'm like, that just can't be right, because only a minority of those people go to those schools. It's not like nobody else has any connections. So there's got to be some other sort of X factor that people have where they make connections. And I started to pay attention to that as a young adult, or as an adult, like as in my 20s. And it turned out to be a thing that you can learn. And I didn't really necessarily expect that, but it shouldn't come as a surprise. I think a lot of people, when I first started teaching networking stuff as well, people would say, oh, you're either born with it or you're not. And I used to argue with them. And now I realize that's just a really convenient excuse for you to not get any better at this. It's like being a speaker. Oh, you're either are born knowing how to give a keynote or not. And it's like, that is such a load of crap, but it's really convenient for people who have stage fright and are like, I'm never going to address this problem.
Do you think that there's any truth to that, though? That there are people that are just naturally better with other people than some people maybe?
Yeah, there definitely is something to that, but it's like not the defining factor. It's not the biggest weight on the scale. So a lot of people go, oh, I can never do that because like my cousin, she's so outgoing, or my sister, she's so outgoing. Great, but also them being outgoing is not necessarily the reason. One of the reasons is she's outgoing, so she joined a bunch of sports teams to see what she would like, and then she realized she didn't like the sports teams, but she liked meeting with everybody, so she joined a club, and then she started another club for another thing. And then she decided to be the leader of that club. There's a lot of decisions and choices in there that are not, oh, she was born more talkative. Maybe those things come easier for somebody like that, but that's it. That's like somebody who's not very physically strong or physically fast saying, it's impossible for me to get better at this because somebody else was born stronger or faster than me. No, we know that's not true. And so somebody would never join a track team or a weightlifting team or a football team and go, it's impossible for me to get any better at this skill. And yet when it comes to social skills and networking and relationship development, people tend to think, oh, I've always been this way, so I'm never going to be any different. And it's, okay, if you're fat, can you lose weight? If you're skinny, can you gain it? Yes. Sometimes it happens without us even wanting it to happen. Right. So why would it be any different with like a skill? You can learn and teach any other skill. Why is this not a skill? Realizing and believing that this is a learnable, teachable skill set is the first step.